Hi guys, how are you? How's life treating you guys? Oh yeah, I'm super lit. Serve my life. Hi guys, I am live. Let me send the link over to everyone. Riley, you gotta behave, okay? I'm gonna go to guys. I'm so late. Super late. Hello. How's life treating you guys? Welcome to Let's Talk with Miss P. I feel like I'm in a corner. Myself today. Let's see. Can I get a bit closer? Welcome, you guys. Sorry I'm late. Mommy's live. Right when I'm about to come live, I had to go take care of the princess. So that's what happened. That what happened, oh my people damn. But you're welcome. Today's topic is a little heavy. A little. It's heavy. So brace yourself. It's gonna be a very topic is a little heavy. Sorry guys. Oh, shoot. I can hear myself echo. So it's very heavy today. So please brace yourself. But very informative. That's what the topic is. I've been wanting us to talk about this and actually bring a guest speaker, but he and our schedule can't really like work together, so haven't been able to do that. But I'm glad I got a few people on that we can have this discussion. So this is very necessary for us to do. Please invite all your friends and all of our viewers and share the show so we can make sure we do our due diligence, okay? Sometimes it's hard for us to express these things, but I think it's very important because you don't know how close the end of your life is, right? Never know. Could be in the next hour too. We don't know. And that's something that's very, you guys, sorry, my daughter's in the background there. But the end of life is something that I feel like a lot of people shy away from because we don't want to think of the possibility of leaving our family members. But I think once we're all cautious and know that it's going to happen regardless, it makes life easier. So don't worry about the negative aspect of that. I think is very important. And you talk about all the things that you wish would happen. Um, Yay, Anna is here. Man, mommy's life is crazy.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm trying to put the baby to sleep.
It's okay. Trust me, I was just on that. But yeah, you guys welcome. Let me post the topic really quickly. I feel like I've been running late back to back because of reasons. Super sorry. But I am still a mom of two under five. So please give me some grace, cut me some slack. But let me enter the studio. You're going to see me duplicated on there. So no worries. Just know that I'm updating it from my phone. So let's see how I can get this printed. And so, happy Sunday. That's my conversation for today. You guys. Also, it's a heavy topic today, you guys. Brace yourself. Brace yourself. Oh, wait. I need to delete a banner. That's so many topics. Let's see. They allow me. Yes. All right. Hi guys, welcome to Let's Talk with Miss V. My name is Felicia. I'm your host. So today we're talking about the end of life. Yeah, one of those heavy ones, but it's very, very important that we discuss these things. Um, you and I are not meant to be here forever. No, we have our expiration date. The same way when you go purchase a bread, when you get a drink or something like that, it has this expiration date. You and I have one. We just don't know when, which is why every moment you live should be fruitful. What do I mean? Like exhaust every options of your life to make sure you're doing the things you're supposed to do. Or even if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, you're doing things that align with what it is you need to do. So today we're talking about something I watched recently that really prompted this topic was that there was a young couple and they had just had a child. And in this video, you could see how painful it was for this young lady to really talk about this. So, you okay right here? Wipe your mouth. Clean your mouth. She's eating ice cream, you guys. So when I was watching that video, there's two things stuck out to me. Young people feel like they're young. They, they don't need to think about that. And I think I never thought about these until I had my son. When my first child was born, that's when I started thinking about the end of life. Like I feel like everybody in this world, once you bring someone else in the world that you're responsible for, that's when you start to a lot of things start to fall into a perspective because you want to be here forever for them. And you know, but the reality is you're not going to. So how do you prepare yourself and your family for that? Welcome to Let's Talk with Miss V. My name is Felicia. I am not a relationship expert, neither is anybody on this platform. We just come here to share our thoughts and our own personal experience sometimes about topics that are, you know, social, that affect each and every one of us socially or every day today, even if it doesn't affect you, it affects somebody that you know. We try to bring you these topics that will make you think beyond just living, you know. And today I want us to talk about the afterlife, not after that, the end of life. I'm sorry. The end of life. Does your family member know what your wishes are? Nobody ever died and come back and say, "Oh, you did really great with putting me to rest." You know, we just do whatever. But thank goodness to modern society. And to have us to sit and think about these things. I don't know about you. I've never really planned a funeral or anything for that matter, but I know people who have. And when they're talking about it, how stressful it is and how it affects their life, it really makes you to start to think about your own life and thinking about your loved ones. Are they going to have to scramble? Are they going to have to be thinking about a lot of things? Are they going to find out things about you that they have to take care of? And nobody really sit and say, "Oh, she was so terrible with this," and "Oh, he was so terrible with this and didn't do this." Um, you guys, I have a few people coming on. Hey, Peterson, how are you?
You.
Sorry, I was running late. I was being a mommy. As soon I was about to come on, boom, something happened. So I had to run to go help out.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but we're here. Um, we're talking about the end of life. I was just trying to do a little intro on that and just sharing a little bit of something that I watched that actually from this topic. And it just dawned on me that this is a topic that a lot of us don't talk about in our community. I feel like most Black people are kind of like afraid of talking about end of life, in my opinion, from what I've seen. So I thought this would be kind of like educative for us to talk about.
Yes, it's a good topic. Um, it's a good topic. Inner life is a very good topic, but I think really, like you said, in our black community, we see it as an abomination.
Yeah,
Instead of you talking about something for growth, you're talking about something for the end of your growth. And I think no matter how we look at it, is pointed unto man.
yeah.
That's the reality. Whether we like it or not, I don't know.
That's my daughter talking in the background there.
Yeah, yeah. So whether you like it or not, that's the reality anyway. So indeed, yeah, we can talk about it. We can talk about it a little bit since it's already here. We can talk about it. But
Yeah,
I don't know where are the other guys. Anna
I
is here.
don't know. I
And
know.
I'm here. I'm waiting
Jimmy,
for my when you guys give me the room to talk because now my kids are quiet. So
yeah,
Go ahead, go ahead. So
You
I
just
was trying to do the
you
I was
wanna
trying to do the intro real
she
quick.
was doing
you
the
wanna
intro,
come
so I
live
was
when
just
Jimmy is here. It's not okay, Anna.
huh?
Anna, you wanna come live when Jimmy is here. It's not okay.
No, that's not why. It's because I'm being a mom.
Okay,
Aw, it's okay.
that's okay.
Oh man, to be a mom is not a joke. It's a serious job. But yeah, let's jump into it. So I did a little research on this topic, and I'm just gonna kind of like summarize
So
some of the things, and then we can each kind of like just
okay, you guys let me know when
expand
it's
on that.
time for me to talk. So that way they now the kids are quiet. I was hoping that you give the intro and then I'll give my input and then we go
Yeah,
from there.
yeah, I was sharing that. I watched a video of a young couple. We all have an expiration date. We just don't know it. You know, that's
Mhm.
why it's very, very important that every day that we live, we exhaust every opportunity in that time and use it for whatever it is our purpose is, right? So I watched this couple, as I was saying earlier, this I think probably around my age or something like that, and she lost her husband, and they were so young, they didn't have a lot of things planned, and she was just explaining how the process is and how a lot of people are not informed about what goes on when you lose a partner. So that kind of like made me start to think, how many people in our Black community really do sit down and try to, push everybody forward to understand the other side of life. It's not just living. because we all are going to experience death at some point. But how do you start to talk to your partner about that process? Like what is your wish? Because I don't think anybody have ever passed and come back and say, oh, you did exactly what I was interested in, or I'm sorry that I left you guys. I had nothing to leave you guys to, plan and things like that. And, some family get torn apart. They're saying that's my child. You don't know what they want. That's my siblings. To kind of like cut all of that. That's why I'm so happy for modern society, because I think it makes a lot of things easier, because it takes a lot of burden off of you if you actually are informed and plan early. So um, when we look at first, I think before I even go into the research I did, maybe you guys all give your input on what it is you like. What's your thought? Like, how early do you think people should talk about these in their relationship?
Hmm. So at first, when I read about the topic, I thought it was very interesting because personally, I have never really discussed what I would wish for myself if I were hospitalized. Even when I got hospitalized, I didn't. At some point I felt like I was going to
Yeah.
die or whatever, but I didn't know. I didn't even think about the fact that I could discuss my preferences because I was still able to verbally communicate. It made me think to myself, like, what about those that are able to verbally communicate or even write, or people that are in coma? You know how sometimes you can just have a heart attack and then you're unable
Yeah.
to survive, and things are happening and you don't even know what's happening. So I thought it was a very interesting thing to talk about earlier on in your relationship. It may be a scary topic,
Oh, we
be a
lost you
scary.
there.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, it might be a very scary topic to discuss with your spouse or your significant other, but it's definitely something to be discussed because you never know tomorrow, just like Miss Fee said. But I think that end of life wishes are things that match your preferences, what you would want people to do in your absence or in situations where you're not able to do them on your own. Like if you're really sick and you need someone to care for you, would you want them to care for you in the hospital? Would you want them to care for you in a nursing home? And if you go to a hospital and they say you have something like cancer, for example, you require hospice, would you want them to give you hospice where they'll take care of you, give you palliative care? Make sure, go ahead, please, where you have care in your home, or would you prefer that they just make cause you to die, or they take you off life support? Those preferences are what end of life wishes are, right? And I
Right.
think that it's also important for your spouse to know your religious wishes. Like, if you were terminally sick, would you like a pastor or the chaplain in the hospital to come and be praying for you every day? There are some people that would not want God involved because they'll say, "Oh, why did God or Allah let them die or get sick?" So people's preferences change, even if they're religiously um strong when they're fine, but when they get sick, they become depressed. They don't want any of that. So it's important for somebody to know what your preferences are. Now, in Africa, I've never heard of cremation when it comes to like funeral preparations and things like that. So it's also important to discuss how you would like your funeral to go. Would you like, to be cremated, or having like a regular funeral where they take your body, do the repast and everything? But I think that these are very important questions that need to be had, because sometimes you may want to bury somebody and the person will say, no, I'll prefer that you just burn my body and then keep the ashes for my kids, right? And save the money that you were supposed to plan a funeral for me. it's really sad that in the African community, I don't know in other cultures, but I know in the African community, people always say you don't have money when you're sick. But once you're dead, you see how much money people are spending for funerals. You'd be surprised, But they could not give that person money to go to the hospital and things when the
Right.
person was sick, which is really, really sad. But I think it's very important to discuss end of life. I also think that there's something they call a MOS form. I think it stands for medical order of
Yeah, we'll
life
talk about
sustaining
that. I don't
treatment.
want you to
So
go
it's
too far
basically
yet.
a temporary document
I
that
don't want
the
you to go
the
too far
hospitals
yet.
can give you, or
Anna,
even prior to. I think you can have access to that document prior to you even getting sick. It's important to have something like that it's almost like a will, except you're not leaving it for after you're dead, but while you're sick. That's something that someone can use. That most form helps determine those medical preferences, not when you're dead before things are happening, but it helps people know if they should um if you were to get sick where you cannot make decisions for yourself, who would be the person to make those decisions for you, that you trust, that person to do it. So I think it's something that should be had, a conversation that should be had earlier on in the relationship, because you don't want to wait until later and then, things happen and nobody can make those decisions for you. So yeah, that's it.
thank you. Thank you so much. Peter
Okay.
saying.
Yeah. So I think Anna was just flowing. She
Yeah.
was, she was just eating everything. So
I
I,
know.
I was like to say, well, I think Hannah has spoken my mind. But anyway, we are here to talk some. Okay, so there are a lot surrounds afterlife. There are lots, and for me, if I have the opportunity to discuss it, I would like to discuss a positive aspect of afterlife. What I mean by positive, even though the period of mourning is negative, what people may see, but the positive aspect of it is what you are leaving behind, what you are leaving behind, decision that somebody can speak to. These are the positive aspect of it, and that's why um, the Western, or let's say the other side of the world, will take interest into discussing, even taking upon himself, going to lawyers, going to people to sit and discuss. Oh, look, when I'm no more, these are my decisions. That's what they are trying to achieve, is the positive aspect of it. So yes, if we get into a discussion or discussing afterlife, for me, I will want to dwell on the positive aspect of it. Why it is important to plan for that. In our county, in Nima County, um, uh, there's somebody, one prominent person, who decided to tell people how to build a vault, that when I die, this is what I should be placed. And people say, oh, that's witch, and people start talking many things. They don't know what was the reason behind it. These are some of the positive aspects of it. So that, I mean, there are a lot that we can discuss if we get to afterlife, what should be expectation, what people should dive into. But again, it's an introduction, and maybe we can start to point at them as we go into the discussion. Thank you. I hope to get a good discussion.
Thank you so much. Andrew,
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Pete, what's
good
up?
afternoon. Why are you hiding?
Again, I'm using my phone. That's the reason. So, each time,
Um,
yeah, my computer
it's
is
okay.
messing up, so I'm using my phone.
I won't give you hard
Yeah.
time.
I know you already there. Give me heart attack, so issue. Yeah. Okay. It's good. I mean, the topic is very interesting. I follow Anna. She makes some beautiful comments. And followed by Peterson too. Also, uh, made some comments as it relates to afterlife in a relationship. Uh, well, I think it's very, very important to discuss this uh, on the married couple level, because I don't think people who are into an open relationship or committed relationship, like just say they are cohabitating but they are not yet legally married. I don't think they should even think about that. They should get married first before they even think about doing those things. But on the issue of the end of life when it comes to married couple, I think it's necessary that we discuss it. I'm gonna make some key points, which I want to just quickly stress in the intro, that we should decide how you want to be buried, whether you want to be cremated or you want to be buried. Peterson also struck a point too. He said, well, the person built his vault and kept it. I knew about that person too. It was all in the social media. So the person will do this, will do that. But it's something that people need to talk about. Playing it. Look, how you end to do this way. Like for instance, if for reason so things happen, everybody looking for the positive side, but no one is coming on the earth to live forever. People will still die. And when people die, they for instance, if the man dies, the wife and the children will leave, vice versa. So what would be on ground for the child, for the family to benefit, or that will leave with the family so that they can remember? So I think the couple need to sit down and discuss it, playing it for the kid, for the future, for the children, that this thing. I know we're trying to go into deeper something, I think, but then you told her, which we'll talk about later, but I know where she was driving, which is very,
Right.
very, 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 very good. So I will stop there and then we'll go deeper into the discussion, then we can keep up question.
Thank you guys so much. Hi, Robots Pro. Robots Pro said, "What kind of scary topic?" That's why we're talking about it because everybody think it's so scary, that they don't want to talk about it. It's very, very important. But you know, end of life planning. I know everybody look at it as I'm about to die, so this is how I want you to bury me. But there's so much more like involved with it, and based on my research, so end of life planning, also known as advanced care planning, involves making decision about how you want to be cared for and what happens to your assets after you pass away. Some things to consider, there's about, and I kind of touch on all of these already. Funeral and burial arrangement. Basically, planning your own funeral and burial really release a lot of stress on people. Like, do you have a land? Where are they gonna put you? You know, like, do you know how much it costs? Especially, household, we always talk about family life, right? Like in a household, let's say the mom is the one who primarily take care of the kids and know the day-to-day life. Like when they're sick, where do they take them? To the doctor's office. Like school wise, communication, all those things in a household that you don't really participate in, that's something that is going to really affect the entire family member. God forbid if one of you left. So it's good to always have plan. And I really, I'm gonna go back to our roots. There was a Bible verse that said a man that doesn't plan to fail, right? So if you don't plan that aspect of your life, it's gonna be very shaky for your family member. Um, they talk about funeral and burial arrangement, power of attorney. So we each couples in the family has each couple has their family, and the family um has their right to the body as well. So understanding who has the power of attorney, of course, if you're in the Western world, they look at your spouse as that, but you can pick who's going to be in charge of planning that, because sometimes it become chaotic. The family member has different plans, and then you as the spouse have different plans. So it's very, very important that you, and these power of attorney can be legally signed, where you have every right to make the decision, especially if that individual is sick in the hospital. Especially some of us are in the hospital throughout, you see it all the time. Somebody is about to go in there, instead of you focusing on the good side of what just happened. Somebody have lived, they've lived out their life and it's time for them to go, and then you're scrambling, and now there's this chaotic moment with the family. Instead of celebrating that life, it becomes hectic. When you have these events care plan, it makes it easier for your spouse and your family to kind of roll into it. It's kind of like you having a day-to-day plan for your kids. They wake up, it's like a routine, right? But then you have this plan that make it easier for them. So power of attorney, and then last will and testament. Some people are like, oh, I'm so young, I don't have a lot, but you never know. You might have assets that somebody left in your name that you don't know about. So, but you trying to figure out what those are, and then speaking to your spouse or getting one other person that you trust with your spouse to help them navigate it, because some people are not really good in that area. So if you have that, and then we talk about living trust, housing arrangement. So what if you are the primary breadwinner and you pay all the bills, right? And then now, God forbid, your time on here has expired and you're leaving. How does your family cope in that situation? How do they live? How, I know a lady, she doesn't even know how her bill get paid. She doesn't know how the electricity comes on. Those are things I think when I'm thinking about these end of life topic, I'm looking in depth of it. And now it's so easy because you can find these plan online and write it down and then notarize it and save it somewhere where someone can help you. That's why it's important. And then the topic said, how early into a relationship should you? So I think in your courtship, you should start introducing that, start discussing certain things. But once you get married, I feel like this is when you should really start discussing it. I didn't start thinking about this until when I got pregnant with my son, because I started to think, and I feel like a lot of women don't think about this, but that's the easiest way you're going to leave the earth. So you really have to start thinking about, okay, when I'm in that room, when something happens, something goes wrong, what happens? Like, who's making the decision? How does that go? So I think once you get into the relationship, you're starting to build a family. I think it's very, very important for you to start discussing that. So that's what I will leave with my intro on that. Um, River says, bro said, yeah, hello. What kind of scary topic? I think Anna wanted us to answer. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I wanted to respond to River says pro using myself.
Uh-huh.
And maybe possibly an uncle of mine that recently passed.
Yeah.
So my uncle had a kid with a lady. The lady left the baby with him, went away. My uncle recently passed. Do you know that there was a lot of misunderstandings as far as where that child would stay? So it's a topic that is very important to discuss because when you have a child, especially a female, you don't want to just leave them anywhere. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that you're leaving that child with a responsible adult that may not end up doing weird things to those children. I think it's very important to discuss this. I know it's a scary topic. I also recently got sick myself to the point where I was hospitalized for a really long time. I even didn't think I was going to make it, but thinking when I heard of this topic that Miss Fee brought up, it was really eye opening for me because it's like, wow, you dodged the bullet. Why haven't you still discussed it? Like you always want to make sure that people are doing what you wished you would have done for yourself. If you're
And your
not doing,
kids.
yeah, no, well, end of life is mostly for yourself, but for
Yeah.
people that will are behind you, your generation, right? So, and I want another thing that I wanted to mention about end of life is that end of life is not only when you're dead or when you're
Yeah.
dying. You can be extremely sick. You can be going through a procedure that may be life threatening, that require you to feel those things because you never know, right? When you go through surgery or something, you never know what happened. If someone makes a mistake, like let's say that doctor makes a mistake, it can kill you. So it's not necessarily about you dying, but necessary about when you're critically ill, where you're going through certain medical procedures that may end your life. Anything. Even you can even go out, God forbid, you enter a car. By the time you get to the road, you get in an accident, right? Things that
Yeah,
happen
yeah,
unpredictably. You want to make sure that it's a topic that you're discussing with your spouse, because you want to make sure that they're doing what you would have done if you were alive.
yeah.
It's a very difficult topic to have, but it's something that I definitely should have also addressed myself, and I didn't. And
And also for your spouse too.
for
What
the
what are their
kids, yeah,
wish?
for the kids, where would you want the kids to be? I mean, but I mean, I'm curious to know, if you're talking about end of life for yourself, you
Mhm.
also want to know your spouses, but end of life is for yourself. If you're doing that most form, like I talked to you guys
Yeah,
about, you're doing it for yourself. In that document, you're now extending your preferences so that your family members and your spouse and your kids can be aware of what you would have wanted if you were still alive, or you were still able to make those medical decisions for yourself. Does that answer your question, Riva says pro?
so he has some very interesting statement right now, which I was hoping he was gonna ask. He said, unless I have terminal illness, I am not telling any woman about death wish,
That
so
is
they
very
can.
true.
So no, no, I
That is
disagree.
true.
So this goes back.
I
This
think he's
goes
talking
back
about
to.
like
Mhm.
life insurances, so, like where
I mean,
you're
that's
dying because
different.
a woman can.
So that's different. This topic is about one, I have things, let's say you have debt, that you have to pay, right? You have to be buried. Like, this goes back to the second one. And this is where I started thinking to myself, right? If I'm not comfortable discussing after my end of life wish with you, I can't be with you because that means I don't trust you. We sleep in the same room every day. You literally could do whatever to me. I eat food from you that you cook. So I don't trust you to tell you, one, if I'm sick, if God forbid I fell sick, you know, and I couldn't make any decision, who in my family and you can make that decision?
I want to play
So,
the Davis advocate.
right, who is the first in line to say yes? Even though I will make, who in my family, I would say power of attorney. But then if that power of attorney can't exercise that decision, this is the second person in line to make that choice. Because when you're over there, let me tell you, newsflash, nobody really talk about this. In the hospital, the doctors are going to do what's best. They're not going to waste resources, but they also wants to help you. But if they see where it's not going to go anywhere, you're the one who have to make that decision. Somebody has to. And if you don't have nobody to make that decision, someone you don't know will make the decision for you.
So a living will and
Mhm.
a living will and an end of life wish are different things.
Yeah, I
So I
know.
think I think he
Hmm.
is confusing the two. So
Right.
Riva says pro, the living will and your end of life wishes are different things. The will is what you sign with a lawyer. You don't
Yeah.
have to disclose that with anybody,
Buddy.
including your wife. The
Hmm.
one that we're talking about is the medical one,
One.
where you're in the hospital, you're really sick or you're terminally sick, and you're not able to make decisions for yourself as far as the medical things or the procedures that will be performed on you. You want that person, you want to designate someone. What are
To
the
make that
preferences for you?
decision.
Yeah, to make that decision for you. So
If
that's what
you
that
are
is.
alive, if you were alive, that decision that you will make, you're telling someone, like, for God forbid, let's just say I got sick. And let's just say I look at my husband, I'm like, nah, I don't think you can make that decision. Let me call my oldest brother or my sister and have them informed. I want you to work together. You both have power of attorney because they have who has 100% of that and who's the second in line. So whoever has the first, that's the person to contact first to look at all the information provided based on what's going on with that terminal illness. And then now we started to make that decision. That's your advance director.
Okay, so I
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
let's outline, because this topic is a scary topic, like River said.
It's
So
not,
if
it
we are
shouldn't be.
discussing it, no, I just want to quote him. If we are
Okay.
discussing it, there must be a message we want to leave with somebody. I don't think we will say put one thing on, we just talk to it like that. It's not going to be a better idea to do. I think there are things that we wish to bring out to the public, for which we may want to discuss the topic. I want to start, if we have started discussing it, I want to start from my end. Okay,
Mhm.
so the first and primary thing people look at is the legal activities that what we also talk about, your will. And
Mhm.
and if you discussing let's say end of life, if you don't talk about will, I mean you will be, I don't know what you will be discussing. Will is very important. And for that will is something that somebody that you trust, like your legal counselor, your lawyer for that matter, will have, access to. And even there are certain people may should not know about it. So that's one thing. And the other side of it, if that legal aspect is done, the next thing you look at is what are the preparation you're doing. That's the investment to prepare for the end of life. Your family. What is your thinking once you are living and you're doing stuff? What are you thinking? Are you thinking, look, if I'm no more, I'm like breadwinner for the family. If I'm no more, what happens to the family? Now, the family, you have extended family, especially those of us from the African setting. You have extended family. What will you always like send something to the extended family? Now, if you are planning, or you are looking at, if you are normal, if you are not able to make that decision, what will happen? So that investment you have, that planning you have, you may have apportioned something that could be maybe for family. That's something that you will want to look at it. The third point I want to look at is impact to the life of others. Now, people overlook this, and I can say that my absence, even from Liberia, is like I sit and say, so if I was dead, this was what going to be happening. That you will want to have impact on the life or into the life of others, so that when your name is called, if you are normal, if your child is coming up, somebody will say, oh yes, this is Mr. Brown's son, and I know what Mr. Brown was capable of doing. And there will be a system that may go to your extended family, just because you live once upon a time and you have a positive impact on the life of other people. So it's important that everything should not be centered around yourself. As you try to make 1 or 2 cents, if somebody is reaching out to you, especially children are going to school going kids and other people who are challenged today, you would like to tap into some problem to help them up, so that is the impact. That's the impact aspect of it. What do you do today live after you? And the fourth thing, I want a preparation of for your children, that also into that. You would like to be serious about sending your kids to school. And I say this to a lot of family. We want, like, we don't want to give our children chance what they want to do, but we want them to do what we want them to do. And as such, you start to see your kids having serious trouble, having problem. Who knows, you will keep telling the child to do what you want to do, and then you come to the end of your life. You leave the child in limbo. The child now gets confused. The child is not, she or he had not found himself into what they want to do, and because you force them into certain things and they cannot do it to the best of their ability, now they become a liability on the community. So what I'm saying here is preparation of your children is important. You have to give chance to your children what they love so dearly, and invest into what they love, so that so that in case for any reason you are no more, they will find themselves accomplished as they are doing what they want to do. Preparation of children should not only be with teacher, should not only be with guardians, it should be with yourself, and you make sure your child is doing what they want to see themselves doing. The fifth one I look at is you're okay, unable to make decision. When you are able to make decision, this is another side of inner life. So what can you do? Will you trust your entire activities or your entire life with your spouse? Or will you add a family member to your spouse in the decision making? Is will you put two persons at the same time and say, look, the decision should be made in the presence of John and Peter. My husband is John, my brother is Peter. This decision about me should be made between these people. Because you know what? The world we live in today, you don't see in the house of your fiancé or another person for that matter. And it's very important because you're from other family. So the discussing something about you is so dearly good that your relative member be part of it. That is good. So when you're talking about unable to make decision, it's not only you not only want to leave it, open, vulnerable. The risk there is high. So in our life, at the point of unable to make decision, you will need to have a document, or you will need to say something that your people you trust, will be part of that decision in your absence. And also the last, from my end, not the least, is program when end of life. How do you want the program to be like? How do you want to see your remains should be handled? How your life should be like? I think these were what Anna started talking about, and strictly when she started. So what do you want? For us from the African side, we got an experience here in Canada when one of our colleagues from Denmark came and passed up. And when he passed up, like the guy came 2 months. 2 months, he got a work permit to start job. He got, he met up with his untimely death. There were no resources. It was challenge, serious challenge that we went through. But the point I'm making is other people start suggesting that we should cremate him because there were no resources. And some of us said, was that what the man wanted? The man, if he was alive, he wouldn't have wanted that. And so what we can do is let us talk to Liberians since we're here to try to see if they're really men. And people, the message resonated and people contributed, and he was buried. So indeed, it's important to look at all of this from number 1 to number 6. We look at it, discuss it, maybe we can discuss it a little bit so that it can be a point that anybody who watches this talk show after here will have something to carry. We have
Right.
something to take home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peterson. So, River says, Pro, just to answer your question, the topic basically says, how early into your relationship should you make your wishes known to your spouse? Because they need to know, right? Your wishes is different from your living will, like your will, like what so maybe I should just give you guys all the points of what include in this topic. So, like I said, end of life planning is also known as advanced care planning, which is when you're sick. This is when you're terminally sick. What do you want your spouse to do? This is kind of like you telling them how early into the relationship. Let's say you and your wife been together for 2 years, you got married. You're married now, and then you want them to talk about it. One, women get pregnant and then they're in the hospital to give birth. Things could go south. What are her wishes when that happens? Do you want blood transfusion? I'm just giving you guys the example of that. Do you want blood transfusion? Do you want them to use do you want them to use any type of medications or whatsoever grade just to save your life? Let's just say, God forbid, you went into coma. How soon should the plug be pulled? How long do you want to be in there? Is it stressful for your family? At what point do you wish your family member to make that decision, including your husband or anybody from your family? Who's making that decision for you? And then thirdly, when you're in hospice care, They have where you can be at a rehab facility. Do you want to be at home where you're taken care of? Because when you enter into the Zoom, you're at the end of your life. Is that where you want to be? Do you want to be at home? Do you want to be in a hospital setting where somebody is taking care of you? Do you want to be in a nursing home? Do you want to be in a room at your house where you know this is the end and you want to be surrounded by family members where I don't know, yeah, I guess it's getting clear now. River says, Pro, are you at the end of your life where you're like, no, I want to be taken care of by my own family member? Or I want a family member to be around, want my kids to be around, even though it'd be difficult for them to see me that way. But no, either take me to a nursing home, let me be there, you know. So that's all part of your advanced care plan.
Ah, and
Uh,
to add to what you said, oh, are you
uh-huh,
done? Sorry.
uh-huh.
And to add to what you said, I wanted to stress on what Peterson said. Riva says protein. She said you won't trust your wife and stuff. She'll be praying for you to die. He
Mhm.
mentioned about having an additional family member. So for your
Yeah,
decision maker, you can have two people involved to make the same decision, but to be as a witness. But you asked the question about if you want to be buried back
back
home
home.
and all the
Right,
like. Your wishes should be adhered to. If your wife and children decide that they don't want it, it's on them. But you had your wish, but they did the other
right.
they did whatever they wanted that was against your wish. That's something you cannot control.
So thank you so much. And then the power. So part of this whole advanced care plan, they have funeral and burial arrangement because it's going to be part of that. Because when you're in hospice care, you're at the end. You're closer to that. So do you have that plan already? Power of attorney. That two people that can make that decision, saying, "No, my dad's suffering too much. Pull the plug." Or my mom. No, my mom can make the decision, we're both on here, but since I'm the events, because in the hospital, they are not going to make anybody make a decision that's not in your wishes. And then we talk about last will and testament. Basically, the essential planning document that allows you to control where your possessions go after you die. So who it goes to. So this is all part of your advanced care plan, like your living will is all part of that. And then living trust. So your money in your bank, who do you trust to be using that to take care of you while you're in the hospital? So this is all part of that housing arrangement. We just talked about that. And then the events directive is basically a legal document that include your preferences for end of life care and go into effect if you're unable to speak. Because most of the time, if you can speak in the hospital, they're still going to be asking with that person that you just gave that power of attorney to. So this is why I want to talk about it because I think a lot of people confuse this with the living will and having, but what women don't understand is when you're in a hospital, we're mostly vulnerable. I'm not saying men don't go through this because sometimes you get terminal illness. When you start to discuss this early into your relationship, you start to figure out, okay, what are insurance out there that we can get as a couple to start saving for this, if this happened, because we all don't know when our days will come. It could be where you just pluck your fingernail. So let me give you an example. I worked with a colleague once before. This was way, way, way back in college. I was doing my little hustle. And, she was way older than me. She was the assistant manager. So she told me her husband used to work in the restaurant business. He used to like drinking. He went out. He came home. He came home one day. And all he did was he had a stomach ache, right? He had a stomach ache and he went to the hospital. He just went to the urgent care. He went to the urgent care. They're like, no, you need to go so they can flush your system. You have alcohol poisoning. She told me within 3 days, her husband ended up in coma.
Hmm.
This is how fast people don't understand these things happen. They had just gotten married. It's been 6 months. She don't know anything that he wants. Family members around, and he only spent, I mean, if I remember correctly, he spent about 3 weeks in coma and he was gone. Now they were scrambling trying to figure out. This is how I know it sounds scary, but this is why I'm like in our community, we try, it's better you're aware and you know about these things because they happen daily. You go into the hospital today, they'll tell you no, go get checked on this other one. So I think, in my opinion, if we're talking about family life and relationship on here, if you're going to be in a relationship with someone and you don't trust them to have these discussions, I think is a red flag for me. That would be a red flag for me because you should be able to discuss this. What's going to happen? Oh, I have a family member. I want them to work with you since you're my legal wife because you're going to have to make a decision if you live in the US, right? And then also, based on what River says, bro, I think you're on here, right? Yeah, he just
Yeah,
got
yeah,
on.
yeah. I want to chip in quick. I'll be
Uh-huh.
watching up, but I got some people here, so I just wanted to. Yeah, I wanted to.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great topic, but fee. I mean, thank you, Anna. For you guys bringing this. Peterson, how you doing, boss?
I'm doing great, bro.
Yeah, yeah. So this topic is very is very extensive. It's not. I see Fee reading reading over there. Fee is not as easy as you know. I see a lot here in the United States. I know we're talking about and end of that, but there are situations, and you guys, the women, you're mostly at a disadvantage. Because a lot of times I've seen situations where, oh, the woman forcing for them to pull the plug. Look, I've seen there was there was this case yeah, I think it was in Detroit, not too far from us, where this woman was just poisoning her husband, was just giving him poison, and then the man was on life support, and she was, and the family did not want the plug to be pulled because initially, so that's why I want us to come to a situation where you don't know because sometimes death comes, not everybody has that time to plan ahead to say do this. Sometimes, so they took this man to the hospital, and the man is on drip. But this woman, and they were not really expecting a fee because this is his wife, But they had this big life insurance, and she kept poisoning the man every time. The doctor said, "But we don't know what's going on." One day, that guy recovered when they take him back home. She keep putting the thing, I think, in his tea, in his coffee, something, you know. And at the end, because she knew that the cyanide was whatever she was giving the man, I forgot the name of the thing, it was too much in the man. She wanted the plug to be pulled so they can cremate the man. She didn't want a regular because then, the doctor or the doctor said they'll go through the thing. So she was just rushing. Oh, you pull the plug. Yeah, they pulled the plug on the man. And then she said, the next thing to look, uh, she said it should cremate the man. And the family like, whoa, 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 whoa. The man family said, hold on. No, not too fast. Why are you doing, why do you want this to, and it was a big rift between those two families. So when
Is
we,
that in the African community?
yeah, huh?
Then
Say in the
that
African community?
she's a bad
No,
woman. Any
no,
woman wants to.
it was here in the United States, in, I think Detroit. So it
I
Yeah,
was,
but I mean
remember that case.
In an African community in United States.
oh, no, it was uh,
Caucasian.
yeah, Caucasian
Or
community.
Caucasian.
I
Okay.
Yeah,
remember that.
yeah. So this thing brought a big rift between the family, a big problem. And they went to court. They went and got this man's body. And then when
They
the
did
judge,
autopsy, right?
yeah, they did it after. I said it was a whole bunch of this thing in there, and the woman confessed and this and that and that. So sometimes those end of death wish, we have to be careful with it because, like you say, oh, when you were somebody, person don't want to. Some people, some women don't want to push it. And some men don't want to push it because, like, for example, something happened to me tomorrow. They will hold my website, but whoa, why you made a mental sound? You know how our community low fee. That's what
No.
people.
That's why Riverside Pro, I'm sorry to cut in, right? That's why there's an advanced care plan, right? You don't just do it with just that person. Once you start making that decision, you have a legal person where you have somebody from your family member combined with your wife that they have that decision. That's why it's very important for you to have one already before you even meet your spouse, because when you guys meet, you don't know what's gonna happen. Like in that situation, if he had one before he met her, and he had a family member where you notarize and you have a legal, this is like a legal medical form that you fill out. It's not just you sit with that spouse and you tell them this is my wish. This is no, this is a legal document where everything is jotted down on there. If this happened, this is what you do, step one, step two, step three. Before this, I want you to exhaust all of this before you finally pull the plug.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Real
So yeah,
escrow is
so
plain
real
safe.
quick, yeah, real quick. So okay, Fee, I know you and Anna, you kind of grew up in the system. So
Mhm.
like me, back home and Peterson, know, when we, when our people ready to go, they just go. Whatever in River says, whatever cow go, whatever the man left behind, illegal, yeah, divided. We don't. There's no advance plan. So when I came to the United States, finally, before I be watching it, when I came to the United States, I remember at my job, my co-worker, like, oh, we got to go to my DAB program. He gonna be giving us something, and there are some document. I'm like, what? He said, oh yeah, he's about to die. Guys, I'm telling you, my whole school never, because for like, bro, I never heard
You're
such a
like, what is going on in this country?
what? You're going to celebrate somebody left and the person still living. Look, and that man was happy telling me, that whole week, I just, it just spoiled my whole week because I never saw it coming. So,
I know you say, what kind of wicked cheering here?
exactly. That's what kind of witchcraft activity. Why am I gonna go see your partner die? I'm sitting there, I'm dancing because I said no. So those things we're not used to it. That's why when you put those things forth, especially for us from from Africa, it sounds like back then they would say about that that bad luck, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in America it's more advanced. So these topics are great. There's a life insurance. Anytime you start life insurance bidding, like when people can run over for your show because
I know.
Let's be honest, like let's be honest, right? Life insurance is something that a lot of people want to
They
do
don't
because they are
understand.
praying for their spouse to die so that they'll,
But
they'll
but
get
they're
someone. But the truth is, if that person is alive, the person can work that money even more why they're alive. Let's say even someone that makes the minimum of 30,000 a year and their life insurance is 100,000, right? If
yeah,
they die today, that's something that they can work for 3-4 years and give you. So in the long run, it's not worth people dying over, right?
yeah,
For someone to pray for someone to die. If you're a wise woman, you will not want your spouse to die for life insurance, right?
But
yeah,
it's crazy, people don't understand there are different stages in life insurance, which I know someone who's very educated, they have different type of life insurance, which I'm not really, gonna jump into that. But people don't really understand it. And I think people should be open minded and try to understand why it's there. And I wish I could bring the gentleman on to talk more on that, but
yeah. So yeah, I'll be watching you. So far, yeah, I might jump back on before you leave, but yeah, that was just my take on it. So it don't women are kind of like, because a lot of time, oh, the woman kill her husband, make the man to, I mean, do
yeah.
Yeah.
divorce
Just
plan.
like
But
the second person.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's why the medical, a lot of these things has been happening. That's why they came up with this thing called advanced care plan, right?
mhm.
So you are in control of what you put in there. You're not just verbally talking to someone. No, you letting them know, hey, if this happens, it's kind of like at my house here, we have this conversation all the time. God forbid if this happens to me, this is what I want to happen. But legally, I have a document that I've already put in who I want to be designated to do and make certain decisions for me because my kids are still little. As my kids get older, you can go back and still update those things and change them around as life change around and you start to build life. But I think people really need to understand that you're not going to live forever. You're going to die. That's that's one thing nobody can skip, you know?
Yeah, so this topic is I think it's mainly for us here in the Western world. Like Riverside says that it just reminded me back
Yeah.
home. There was an organization invited me. That was Christian organization invited me to talk to them about financial management and how you plan your finance in the future. So
Yeah.
obviously, when you talk about planning your life, you also have to end up with the life ending.
Yeah.
So I discussed the nice part, how you need to plan for family, how you need to live, and all of those stuff. How you need to manage your finances. And I ended up, however, everybody knows that you got to go one day. It's
Mhm.
important to plan for the future when you are not around, and that plan comes with your will. You know what? You know what the leader told me. The leader said, "You know what, Mr. Walker? I think what you are what you are talking about is so nice, but the one we will just leave that one. I think we'll find we'll find time to talk about it more in detail."
Nobody want to talk about it.
So I said yes, but you know what? When you talk about planning your finances, planning your future, your family, you also know that you will not live forever. So exactly like Russell says, yes, it's important. We understand all of these things, but this topic is very, very important so that we can know as we prepare for ourselves. A lot of them are happy in this country, and they will continue to happen. And so coming up with this topic is very nice. So
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you.
So,
Andrew,
Okay,
you
Ben.
got quiet.
Because I'm listening. I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm following from the back to back. Russell Pro coming up with his, you know,
His scary
but
story.
yeah, you know, in the Western world, people will want to blame the women. They say, "Oh, the woman is doing this," the woman want to do that. It both happen in every community, in the Caucasian community, in the African community, the Hispanic. I mean, wherever. But people tend not to understand why this topic and why should we, get ourselves involved into it and discuss it. Someone mentioned me about life insurance. The moment you hear about life insurance, you're afraid. Oh, yeah, we want me to die now. So you're set. Oh, you talking about life insurance? Also, you want me to die so you can take my property? Now, I, for me, back home, every property that I've ever acquired, if I was acquired in my wife and myself name, and we added the children, my wife and myself with the children, with no percentage of distribution, who owns it, who owns that. It was acquired in everybody's name. Uh, in planning a life, though we have not sat down and say, "Oh, this what I will do," but and this what we should not do. For the hour of cremation, obviously, will be ruled out because we come from the Christian background. Even though some Christians do cremation, though, based on the will of the person. But for me, when something happens to me, obviously, you will see, well, go in the church and then you bury the person in its own. It's that and that is done. But people should not be afraid of this kind of a thing. I didn't understand it before from the beginning, not today, but I will later I got to understand why people should do these things because it's not trying to obligate somebody to a particular thing, but it's tend to create a sense of happening tomorrow, what's going to happen, and what you expect to happen. It's not something that somebody say, "Oh, one this will happen," or "one this will happen." No, what we can do, or what is very very important today is from, like Pro was saying that. Well, back home, if I somebody a friend was saying, "Oh, I want to do this one," want my father will soon be dying, he want to give us some things. Back home, you will not see that. In fact, it's scary. It's a taboo to even think that your parent want to die. To even announce it, "Oh, my father say we coming down," it's a taboo. They don't even want to hear that in your mouth. But here, it doesn't matter. Someone will say, "Well, if at certain time, stay the plug, pull the plug out, so the person go." But who is to make that decision? Nobody wants to be blamed. The family, on the other hand, from the woman's side, will say, "Oh, you're good." The family on the other side, from the men's side, "Oh." But playing this thing because things happen, abruptly that you would not know if you didn't discuss it with your spouse or whatever, and something just happened abruptly to you. Take the instant of death. I had a friend, almost similar case that Peterson just talked about. And that case that Peterson talked about, it happened right in where I live here, in the same apartment with the guy who passed off. And we all were here struggling around what to do, what not to do. And he, like, he stood there. He said, "No, this is our tradition. We cannot do cremation. Our tradition does not allow that. We don't know what was the way of the person." Well, sometime in January, we have to bury the guy here in Canada here. I think remember fee. I think I told you that I lost my roommate.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
reference Peterson was doing. Just quite recently, a friend of mine, they say you in Minnesota, I don't know, a friend of mine, she had been a very good friend of mine. She went back home. In fact, she went to see family member and also go on a church. I saw a flyer on her page that she went on a church mission. To carry on evangelizing, we're taking part in a revival. So I think like 2 weeks ago, I saw on her brother page, and he put that crying emoji on his page, and like, so I didn't comment. I only comment whatever the case of my condolences to you and the family. Sorry. So I went into his boss DM and sent him a message. "Oh, I saw your post. What happened? Who passed?" And he called his sisters. I'm like, "What? When did she die?" She said, "Oh, she came in Liberia here. She was in Liberia. She came, and somebody, according to what he told me, someone messed with her water. And she went
Mm.
back to America. She was rushed to the hospital in Liberia. They could not solve it. They said that gas, gas, gas. She came back to the States to change the ticket. She came back to the US in Minnesota. 1 week she was on something. Her stomach just coughing up. 1 week she was on a ventilator or oxygen, however you would call it. And she gave her the ghost. She died. So I'm thinking, did she have any plan with her husband before? So I think once the both of you are married today, now it's a lifetime commitment.
Yeah.
Everything about both of you should be disclosed. Remember, we talked before our topic sometime back. We need to talk
Yeah.
about
Full
full
disclosure.
disclosure. We talk about full disclosure. We should not hide anything from each other. Let's come to the table. This is what I need to do. For me, my likes and dislikes. Look, when God forbid anything happen to me, this is what I want you to do. Vice versa. We should not keep it from each other. The topic may be seem scary, but it
Yeah.
appears is an educated topic that people are trying to run away from. They don't want to accept it because the moment you talk about life insurance about them, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was
Yeah.
setting. You want us to die now? You want to die now? You can take my things there." No, 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 no. It's not about somebody dying. If you get a 100,000 or 300,000 life insurance, tomorrow if you go, your family benefit from that. I don't think they won't be
Right.
running after that money. That will help you as a single woman to carry the children to school, to do other things for them. But when the marriage certificate is signed and before you go home after your honeymoon, just sit on the table and
And talk about
discuss
everything.
the issue of will and thing. I don't really subscribe to that. That we should
Right.
go to my lawyer and say, "Oh, let me do will, for my family." No, every property I
No.
own, my family, myself, my children, my children need money, my family need money. So automatically by default, the
It goes to
property
them.
belongs to them. So I'm not gonna go prepare a will to say, "Kid, they want to my other brother." No, my brother, they want to look for their own family property. I'm not gonna give property to them. No, they're gonna look for their own property. So they're gonna take my will
Right.
and say, "Okay, you must get 10% of my property." So they no, that my wife and myself acquired the property and we have the children into them. So why would we take our property and give it up to somebody? So if for any reason you want
Right.
to help, I want to do anything else, like discuss with my wife, you know what we do? We've got a struggle line we came from, what we need to do. Can we donate something to charity that will help other people in similar situation that will have issue tomorrow? Can we do X, Y, and Z and give it to charity? That could be an understanding between you and your spouse. But apart from that, I don't think we should be afraid to do anything. We should come up with disclosure and discuss those things and let our people get to know and let people not say, oh, they are doing this thing because they want for the other person to die. No, life
No.
is
I have a
unexpected.
question for you, Andrew.
Yeah,
You're
go
saying
ahead.
that you would, when you die, God forbid, your wife and your kids will have your property, and but you don't see the need for it to be written down. Don't you
No.
think that?
No.
Let me. Don't you think that when you're alive, people pretend like they're not interested in your wealth, even though they're your family and everything. Once you die, they will start giving your wife troubles and things. You don't
But
think it's good for you to start at least making your family aware of how you would want your end of life to be?
well, that is on the issue of the end of life. This is
No,
like
I'm
I
talking
said in my
about even the
intro.
will, the property, everything. I'm talking everything in general
No,
because
but
you
I said
mentioned.
yeah, but well, for me, like I said, I don't see it necessary because in Liberia, what we do, if you bought a property, like a land deed, and you get a houses or whatever on it, only your wife and your children name everything on that property, no one else. So the law will
Right.
stand by my family. It will not stand by my siblings and my no. It will stand by my wife and children. That's the
Right.
law going to back them because their names are on the deed
So
of the
you guys
property.
don't have. Let me
So
ask
Hannah,
you a question. So
Hannah,
you guys
let me
don't
help
have.
Hannah.
You guys don't have what they like. What they call a successor.
Yeah,
Like,
yes, that's the
even
point
if
I want to make.
yeah,
Hannah,
if
thank you for that question. Yes, Andrew, you look at it from that point. Besides that, the point Anna is raising is very, very important, and that's why the issue of a will comes on. Will is additional protection to what you have planned with your family. Besides that will, or besides that legal interpretation to tell the family in general, this is what ex Brown, Mr. Brown said when he was alive, and this is a document. Your wife is not protected. I don't care whether her name is on ID. I don't care what kind of a legal thing on ID. She will face it tough if she's in Liberia or if she's in the African setting. In this country, that's an easy thing. In fact, your brother in this country will not go after your family because you are no more. They know very well all of the legal thing here. They know about it. But back home, the best thing to do is another interpretation to be done because successors is very important. In fact, yeah, when you fill in form, they always ask you like job you fill in form for job. They will ask you the beneficiary, your insurance. You talk about the beneficiary. You put your wife, your children. They still talk about family. So why you think they talk about family on that form? It's because they are aware of successor. So if you think that, oh, since it's this way, it's automatic, it's never automatic. When it's back home, in fact, you will see your siblings and other elders packing themselves to come to that house and torment that people's daughter. God forbid when anything has such happen. So
That's
the,
so crazy.
My ghost will chase them up.
oh, that,
That's what I'm saying. My property back home is all in my kid's name. What if it's in your children's name though?
they see your children name. That's a different thing. They know when they see
Okay.
your children name, they know that your children are there. That's a different thing.
Okay. Cause
Okay,
I'm about to say that when I try you.
they know your children are there, so they know that very well. In fact, they will start making friends with your kids and what have you, something like that.
No,
But
let me not be friend with them, please.
your the people daughter is sitting down there and saying, "This thing for my children." I said, "Nobody should come here. You wasting your time." Especially when the kids are smaller, it's terrible. When the kids are smaller, it's terrible. The uncles will come and start saying a lot of things. I mean, that we always see that. So indeed, we all have seen it. These are education to inform people to know what happened next, and to prepare for them. Because when the kids are smaller, it is only the uncle will help them more often. The uncle will help them to find themselves to move around. And many times the wife brothers, few of them will actually have attention to their children. They get a very bad how you call it, a parable, and they can come up with in a traditional setting that your some of the tradition that come down there. So for that reason, you see that the uncles will not really pay attention to their sister children that she bringing in their home, because they feel that sister children always shine, so they're going to outshine their children. But if your brother children bringing them home, they are more happy. You will see that reception to bring their brother kids home and what have you like that. So the best thing you do, get legal interpretation to get them moving well. That is the best thing. So it's an education. So Riverside Pro is saying something here again.
So, Riverside Pro said, my pastor mom, thank you guys so much for that. I really enjoyed that exchange. Riverside Pro said, my pastor mom was on life support for months. His sister could not stand the sight of their mother on the bed. They wanted the plug to be pulled.
Wow.
As a pastor, he felt that he wasn't going to be part of God's decision to end his mom's life. What would you have done in such a situation? God forbid. Well, honestly, this is why the care events came up. So that way there's no confusion. So while you're alive, you have these discussions with those people that you feel like can be able to make that decision, and they will straight out tell you, I don't feel comfortable being part of that to make that decision. Then you find somebody else that can do it. That's why I love, love, love the United States and the Western world, because it helps to ease those on those uncomfortable moments between family, that now you have to make that decision. Because sometimes you'll be at that hospital and you'll have the care team, which is like the doctors and stuff, and they've exhausted every option, and now they're telling you we're just wasting resource that could go to somebody else. Now they're telling you, what do you guys want to do? You have to make a decision, because she's in a vegetative state or he's in a vegetative state. What are you going to do? So in this case, this is where the care events comes in, where you are part of this decision. You're with someone. If your pastor and his sister was the two people that the mom identified to make that decision, the mom would know that the pastor would never make that decision. Then now she can find someone else who would be comfortable making that decision, and it would have been easy. That's all I would say to that.
So this decision, like it is here, yeah, pastor, obviously he's going to say that, but I think the best thing to do is give it to the doctor, like home or even here, give it to the doctor. And the decision, if there is no decision there, and the doctor had reached to the point of saying, look, this is it, I don't want to hear from you people, I think in such a thing, I would just tell the doctor, you know what, do the best and just sign the paper and just say, look, I want my mom to live, and you, the doctor, whatever you say, that's why I stand now for the family. Because you stand there and tell the people, pull the plug. I mean, the medical report is going to clearly say that. I think so. I don't know how it works, but it's going to say that, oh, look, Riverside said at a point when we reached to this point, it was an agreement that
Right.
Riverside said we should pull the plug. And you know why it's going to be crazy in the family? That was the man I told the people they should care our mom. So
right. You see? So
yeah, definitely it's going to be, because the understanding is not like
Even though all her organs are no longer
no
functioning,
longer there. He's
yeah,
done. It's just a machine
yeah,
keeping her alive.
only the machine keeping her alive, but still, they will not want to understand.
This man is the man that killed our mom. He killed
Yeah.
our mom. He told the doctor to kill our mom. So it's better you just tell the doctor, look, you know what? I want my mom to live. In your writing, I want my mom to live, but wherever decision necessary that you can take as a state trusted person, you can take that decision. I mean, it's clear. The doctor
Yeah,
can go ahead and say
that's
everything.
a good way to do it too. But because most of the time, physicians are kind of blamed for not exhausting every option, because that's your family member. Or you feel like, oh, they didn't care. It was just another number they want to get rid of. So that's why they came up with these whole care plan. So that way they leave that decision with you where a doctor is not looked at as, oh, they didn't care. Because this happened a lot in the medical field where a lot of people feel like, no, you're not taking care of my family how you want to, and you guys are not doing much. But people tend to forget that in those situations, you're not thinking right. All you want to do is have that person back. So your emotions are all riding on it. That's why for me, I think it's very, very important that people have these conversations. And if it is happening, let's just say is the mom, right? And she has so many kids, instead of her making that decision, because most likely she probably didn't even know about this whole advanced care plan. This is where she can talk and things like this can happen. This is what the entire family gather around and have these conversations. Mom, you're not feeling well right now. We keep going back and forth to the hospital. This is what's happening. I'm just giving you guys an example, right? Oh, you're on dialysis. You're doing this, you're doing that. And this is where we're heading based on what your care team is saying. This is what's going on. Can we come up with a care plan that's going to work for you? Based on this, this is what this. So that person is part of that decision. They don't want it to be like someone is blamed. So if I'm part of, for me, I will feel better if I'm part of that plan where I feel like, okay, God forbid, instead of you wasting all the resource on me, you could leave it for both of my kids. Instead of you having, because sometimes your health insurance doesn't pay for this. And this is why a lot of people don't know when they talk about life insurance, they're like rushing. There are some life insurance that have terminal illness playing into it that pays for that have all of that. So if you have it, they can take care of it. If you don't have it, and the health insurance can only pay for a little bit, now you as a family unit have to keep paying for that plan. So if somebody say I can't afford it anymore in the family, and you have this care plan, you're able to be part of that decision and say, you know what, it's a waste. I'm in a vegetative state. All the only thing that keeping my lungs going and my heart beating is the plug. So if I unplug this light right now, it's darkness. So that's the only thing keeping me alive. I'm not alive. It's just a plug making me here so you guys think I'm here. So if I'm at that state, instead of you wasting all my resources that you could use on my kids or somebody that's alive or somebody that has a better chance, use it. Pull it on me. That's what I would tell them. Pull the plug.
So that decision could be when the person is not sick.
Huh?
You
Yes,
don't wait,
yes,
you don't wait
yes.
somebody gets sick and bring that conversation. Definitely, the person is going to think that you want to kill.
You are trying to kill them. Yes.
So
But that's
this is
why
the
it's
best
good
thing
while you're alive. You're
right?
fully safe. You
If
make
nothing
this. This
is
is why they came
happening,
up with that.
we get to talk about it. But
Yes.
I can tell you, God forbid, my mom, anybody is related to me, even a friend, to the hospital, and I am to make that decision, I cannot look in the doctor's face and say, pull the plug.
That's why they won't choose you to make the decision. They choose somebody else who
Even
can.
your friend, I'm not talking about relative, even your friend, to stand by the doctor and say, well, you know why? Pull the plug. Resources going. You know why? If that resources we're going to be looking for it for the rest of our life, we will look for that. I'm not going to end my friend life
Oh,
because
come on. You're not killing them.
the best thing is the education should go straight.
I'm with
Understand
you,
that you
Peterson.
be able.
I'm very much with you.
Come
Huh?
again?
I said I'm with you on that.
Sure, sure. It's better you make that
You,
decision.
you know what Peterson's saying is so much emotional. It's nobody will want to try that. For me, I wouldn't try that. Look, from 2012, October, I can remember when I lost my dad. I think it was on October 24th at the Catholic Hospital in Liberia. Now, here what happened. I had come from work and decided to pass to the hospital to see him. In fact, what actually happened first, he was sick, and then I received a call from Abel where he was living because there where we grew up. So I called. They called me and I said, "Okay, what you do at my work?" So they're bringing in town. I sent my wife. I said, "You go bring the woman in town." So they drove the one that brought the woman in town. So I used my work insurance to take him to the hospital, SOS hospital. So when we got to SOS hospital, just before I got there, my wife told me, so we already here. But before I got there, he said, yes, she called me again. He said, oh, don't come, we're not going to Cali Hospital because the doctor said, they should take you to Cali Hospital. So I said, but my insurance doesn't cover Cali Hospital, it only cover SOS. So, and other hospitals, but not Catholic. So what we would do, if we carry to Cali Hospital, I mean, I'm going to pay cash. Anyway, fast forward, we went to Cali Hospital and then did all the thing and then we deposited the money and they were treating him and he had some, I think, kidney failure or something while they diagnosed. And so they started treating and then the next day or two I went there, his feet was swelling up and they prescribed a medication for me to go and buy to the nearby drugstore, which when I got. When I gave it to him, they gave it to him, his feet started to come down again. So it was on a Sunday after church because my wife used to go there every day to see him. So after church, I decided to pass there to the hospital. We went there, we saw him. So I came from work on the Monday or Tuesday. I went there because he only stayed a week there in the hospital. When I went in the hospital, I saw him. He was already on oxygen. So the moment I saw him on the oxygen, I told my wife, I say, that thing they put on my father, he will not make it. She said, oh, don't say that. I say, I'm real. From that thing, look, what the history? But we were leaving the hospital. So I told her, I said, let's go home. Anything they will let us know, let's go. But we were leaving the hospital that day. The room, the wall, we were leaving the wall. Because there were, I think, there were three, you were in a semi-private ward anyway. So I think there were 3 patients in that room. So we were leaving that ward. I saw we had left, but then I saw because the way I saw the oxygen blinking, we were going, I saw the nurses running. They called the room number, I think room 9, something like that number. They say the patient is on critical condition. So they enter my father's room. I like, God. I want to go there back. And the nurse said, no, why are you going there back? And they say, okay, don't go there. The doctor are there working. I said, wow. But guess what? I didn't even want to see them putting another oxygen on him there. I left. I drove off. That whole night I didn't sleep. Next morning I went to work. My heart kept saying something to me, my instinct.
Man is gone.
So I called my aunt that was working there and I called her. Oh, hi, everything, blah, blah, blah. She explained to me, no, this, that. Oh, yeah. She said, I said, oh, okay. She said, well, you got to come to the hospital. I said, well, she said, well, no, not everything is okay. But when you come in here, come good. I said, come good at what? So she was trying to tell me because they already billed him, already the phone, everything. So I cleared to her. I told her, look, woman, tell me, if my father died, tell me, I'm a man. Let me go through it. Before she explained it to me, say yes. And I had already planned to send him in Lima to Tapeta Hospital to DFD Hospital for the dialysis something. I had planned to do that. We're preparing that week to send him up. We made the arrangement to carry him up already. Then that day he died. Now I like, wow, what am I going to do? So I sat down in my office. I wept good for almost 15 minutes. And I went in the bathroom, washed my face. But my red eyes were still there. So I went to my HR and my manager and told him, I said, well, I lost my dad. I got outside to go sit down in a car. I sat down in the car. I cried again to even move the car from the yard. Or I put it in a brief posture. So I called my bigger brother, who is my cousin, Cooper. And I called him. The office was not too far from us or around the mansion. I called him. I said, big brother, we lost the papi. He said, okay, where are you? I said, at the work. I leave him from the office. He said, okay, come to me. I went, my other Frankie, they drove the car. We went to the hospital and I just got happy. So those things emotional. For me, I will not stand there to pull that plug off. I will not stand there. Actually, let someone else, do it. But for me, I will not stand there and say, okay, I made that decision. I say, you pull that plug off. Let it be pulled. Let the doctor know that work needs to do. Then they pull it off and the person go.
I know. And it's very, very difficult to make that decision. But that's why it's really good to have a good care team. Like the doctors, they'll tell you the percentage. That if they're really good with communicating, they'll tell you the percentage. They'll tell you how far, like, what are the chances and stuff. Like recently back in April, that's really sad. I mean, it can flip in 2 seconds. I had one of my friend, her mom been going back and forth. We were like, yeah, green light, she's good. And then before we know, the next morning, she and I thought, yeah, we might be coming home. And then before I heard, she called me in the morning. But the crazy thing, my instinct told me call her because I think the lady already passed. But I didn't call her because I was busy that day. When she called me, I knew what she was calling about. I said, your mom passed. She said, how did you know? I said, I don't know. This morning, something told me that her mom passed. You know, the health of us, we always think like we're like 100%, right? But we don't know, like in 2 seconds, that can happen. A lot of things can change. And, you have every right, even though when you're okay, you can make that decision, right? Like I'm talking here, I know my husband, he will never make that decision. So I already know who I can talk to make the decision because he would never, ever want to do that. He already told me I would not do it. But you have to think about it. One, the person, especially if you're at a vegetative state, is different if all of your organs are still working. You're at a state where nothing is working at all. The only thing that's kept going is that machine.
Do you believe
That
in miracles?
huh?
Do you believe in miracles?
I do, but I also believe in realistic stuff.
Okay, so the doctor go ahead and do the realistic stuff. But
Right. So
if you tell me
if
you get 2%, that 2% can turn to 100%. So
I agree. I agree. But sometimes too, right? Think about it, the pain, especially those patients that go through dialysis and kidney failure. It's a lot of pain. Sometimes they're gonna tell you, please, I'm tired. I'm tired. Please, I'm tired. So, in that point, if you can make it, that's why you have doctors, right? You can let them know. But for me, I feel like instead of people dragging it on and on, one, if I was to share my care plan, I want to be home where I'm comfortable, where I'm with my family. I can still talk to them. If I can't talk at all, instead of, we're spending our days, I have two little children that are still alive. I'm not here anymore. Tell them, if you can't do it, tell them, pull it. I'll be gone. I have my peace. I already made my peace with that when I'm at that state. I've already was start thinking about that. But I think it's very important for people to know that these things are available.
yeah.
That if you have a family member, it's good to plan it early because you don't know what could happen. Especially, I feel like women should be the one on forefront
Rosa Pro is
making these
requesting the
plans.
link again. Rosa Pro is requesting the link again. Apparently, he wants to join.
The link, we're about to close to a research pro, but let me put the link. But it's really a hard conversation for people to have, but it's also really necessary. I feel like it should get people thinking in reality. You're
So
not here forever. You have an expiration date. Your clock is ticking really fast. So you need to be thinking in advance of these things. You're going to leave family members that will have to make the decision. And what if you don't have the funds? Where do we get these funds? Like how are we gonna get help? What steps are you taking? Some people have these habits that they do. I'm not putting anybody down. Some people smoke, some people drink, some people do this. Somebody will say, I know someone who's been drinking for years and they're okay. You don't know if that's you. You don't know that. So if you have those things that will push you further to these things, you need to start thinking like you're a childbearing mother. You can go give birth and it can change in 2 seconds. What's gonna happen? Everybody believe when they get pregnant, they're gonna come home with their baby. How true is that? You don't know that. You just gotta pray, but you also need to be planning about life because these things will happen. And
I don't
when
even
they
know how I left
happen,
the
you
show.
don't want to keep your family struggling. You don't. You don't want to keep your family struggling because one, they're already going through the fact that they're struggling and they can't afford it. And then two, you're not going to be here forever. Like, it's a lot for somebody to think about. So if you have these plans and you're able to help them, navigate it and only focus on that positive side of you and know that everything will happen. Or when you get to the hospital and say, you don't want to speak into that early, but when they start giving you all those negative news, then you start and they start telling you what is the advance directive? Who is it? Who is the power of attorney? Now you're standing there and you're like, oh Lord, why are they asking me all these questions? It's helpful when you are aware and you know what's happening. But if you're not aware and you're just there, then you start to blame the doctors. Oh, they didn't do what they're supposed to do. No. When you're aware, you start to focus on the positive aspect of what's happening. Okay, doc, this is what you're doing. How is this coming on? What's the percentage? Where are we? Like, you need to stay focused. So when you have those plans, it helps you sometimes. Sometimes it helps the person comes back because sometimes people body feeds into that negative, around them when they're in that state. If you're focused and you're there, just there being the best side, supportive, and holding their hands, everybody is aware, everybody know what's going on. There's a plan. It makes things easier. That's why I wanted us to talk about this topic. Where was that for? I was running my mouth. Let me put a thing here there so we can kind of
Thank you
close.
so much. I think that is this topic is more medical, even though the education is there. But
Yeah.
it's just the best person to discuss it, and that's the person discussing it the best way. So yes, everything you have said is 100% truth.
Marissa, I just posted it again.
So yes, I think Rosa will still be afraid.
Marissa, don't be afraid, please.
Rosa
This
said,
is like these
you
decisions should be made while you're fully safe and okay.
We will soon assess River Says Pro's relationship on this show.
I don't want to get a Bria today. You want for me? I just was that or it's the last comment. Oh shoot, let me
Yeah,
see.
did he join? Rejoin?
Let me email it. Let me send it to his messenger. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know it's scary, and you guys, everybody gets so worried, especially when you talk about life insurance. Oh my God, people be wanting to pass out. I'm like, what's wrong with people? Y'all don't be afraid. It's
not
part of life. We're all going to go. There he is.
everyone will go.
So
We're all going to go. It's a
so
matter of time.
so guys, feature, yeah. Peter see,
Started war.
Peter see,
Started war and then the LIB war. I was born in it.
Peter see, yeah, sister girl. She
I,
got, I said the woman face. You can see,
I
look.
try to turn it off from
I
us. She
tell you,
still
man, she just define reading that thing. Look, you see, Philo, I mean, you and Anna, you Western people, but you see why? You see why this whole topic was meant so we can do that transition. So why? But you see why it's not going smooth with us? Because for us, when you look at cultural wise, and when you look at even people, when you look at let's say Christianity, so let me tell you, some of us we just talk tough on Facebook, but when it comes to our emotion, we are weak. Look, I used to work, as a nurse when I came to the United States. I did LPN, but then they stop LPN in my state. You gotta go right into RN, and the family,
Yeah.
yeah, the school and everything was too much for me. Wifey alone couldn't do all the things. So, but look, my experience, one of my clients, I think this is my second time saying it. This man, I'm the only person, because I started with CNA, so I'm the only person. He was kind of independent. I used to go help him, old Marine, the papa and myself. I'm the only person he wanted me to go in his room and one day I went to work, that papa was gone. Yeah, that night I went, the papa,
Oh,
yeah, that thing, look, it got to me. Then they told me I'm gonna do the postmortem. Like, I'm gonna get his body prepared. I say, who? From that day, I'm telling you, seriously, look, I,
You are running.
yeah,
You better be in front of the people alive, not the dead one.
I left. I left. I said I couldn't hear it for that day. I never did. I never went back into that field. So that's how much.
Oh,
Yeah, that's how much the thing. So my pastor that I talk about. He said the fact that because the family was divided, and like Peterson said, like my man Drew. When you look at the perception back home, people, the way people see things. Oh yeah, he don't want approve. For them to, for our man to. See, sometimes these prevailing situation or these prevailing circumstances, they don't understand. Now he's from Sierra Leone, so every time we'll go to the place and pray because I knew the Oma even before she went from. I used to we used to have Bible studies together. So when we go there, we will pray over the Oma, and he told me one time. He said, "Imagine this woman. When I was a baby, she changed my diaper and all these things." For me to stand there to be the one to say, he said, even well, and I asked him, I said, but Pastor, when you come here, she doesn't talk to you. He said, but the fact that I'm seeing her, it still
yeah.
it still makes me connected to her. I still feel that I'm still with my mom. That's the woman that took care of me when my father was never around. And I feel if I approve this plug thing, I'm not going to see her anymore. So he took it in, his perception was completely different from your Western, your advanced, the play, everything. He wasn't looking at that. And then moreover, he told me that if he came to the biblical concept too. He said, even though I know that these things in the Bible, maybe they were not existing back then. He said, but how many people? He said, a lot of those people, yeah, Abraham was 100 years old. The other person was this, the other person was that. People died. They died natural death. There was not a time where somebody took somebody's life for convenience because of inconvenience sake to say, oh, they suffer. So I think there were so many things that a lot of us Africans consider, But you're right, Fee. That's how it's supposed to be when it comes to, Western concept because uh I remember this American guy told me if you don't do that, you are selfish because then you leave your people, you selfish your children gonna.
It is. I
Yeah,
agree.
and I said, but it am a damn well waiting for her to live good life and life. And I miss you.
Right.
And I miss you waiting for her before she left. Let's see.
But look at it on
You
this
better
other.
start
Look
doing.
at
You
it on
better
the
start
other
doing the
side,
things.
though.
Start doing the thing that will make you to live when I'm not around. If you waiting for me,
Exactly. Why
But
am I
yeah, look
waiting?
at it on the other side, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel when you're not here? Your family is still provided for.
that's
You
why.
see?
That's why. See, when we talk about this, we said there are a lot of ways you prepare the family. I mean, the listing I made, they are sufficient to make the lady strong enough, to make the children strong enough to do what they can do. But
Yeah,
many
but I
people,
agree. But financially, they're still going to be affected, especially nowadays. How you need two people income to really live a comfortable life, right?
exactly,
So when you're not there, I want people to look at it on the other standpoint, right? You build this family with your wife, right? And your sole purpose and responsibility is to provide, protect them, right? Can you imagine you're not here and you have absolutely nothing and you can't provide and protect them? But then think about it. There's a concept that came up that you still, even though you're in the grave, you're still providing and protecting for your family. How cool is that?
But yeah, but okay, let me put my real bastard jealousy on. Okay, you go.
Oh gosh, you'll
Oh,
get me
yeah,
and you, man.
exactly. You go on your spirit looking down, you see the young guy. You see that
When you gone, she's not your wife anymore, per the
your,
Bible.
your children squander all the little money. Then then
I
you
yeah, Riverside Pro said against it, just straight. She talking that thing. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
man,
No. I want people to be I want people to look at it in a different aspect. I get it, I'm sitting out here. Let me tell you guys, recently I lost my cousin, and that really shook me to my core because I had just talked to him, right?
yeah,
And I was just thinking about it. Like his family was very prepared. as much as they were prepared, they were affected, emotionally. But imagine you are prepared. Everything, it was a very sudden death that just happened. But with that happening, there were so many things already in place that you can focus, get it done, and mourn the person instead of you, like living in regret. Oh my God, we have to do this. Oh my God. Like you don't really get to sit and really mourn that person and celebrate the life that they actually lived. All you're doing is just like scrambling around, stressed out. When you're done, you have to go do this. No. And that's why, for me, I really like the Western concept because it get you to be here, present, to talk about it. It's uncomfortable. But once you talk about it, and the more you kind of talk about it, you become comfortable with each other and you start to understand. And if somebody start playing fish again, you better kick them to the curb like Felicia, block them. Block them.
I'm sorry, guys. I have to
I
leave.
know, right? Let's try to end this
Yeah,
conversation, man.
let
What's
run
your
off. Let's
parting
run off.
statement?
I have to leave quickly. Thank you so
Yeah, you
much.
want to give your closing statement and then,
Sure.
yeah.
So thank you so much, Fee, for this topic. I think uh, before fairness, it's important to discuss this topic, even though viruses start to make us afraid. You say, what kind of scary topic is this? But I think, these kind of topics are very good for our community, for our setting. People who may listen to this, whether they are in Liberia or they are in Canada or US or any part of the world, it's going to let us know that no matter what it is, you need to plan for the afterlife. And afterlife, is said, is not only when you die, it is when you are able to make decision. Sometimes you're sitting looking, only your mouth cannot open and say anything, but you're seeing what is happening. And experience and things that we had in the past, the old man that fell out with stroke, he could see, he want to talk, but no way to talk. He burst up by crying. So anything you want to say something, you can't talk, you can't do anything, you start crying. So these things is afterlife. So what will people revert to know that yes, this is what the man want to happen, or this is what the person want to happen. So D is a good topic, and I say thank you to everyone. The suggestions are good, and I think we are growing, and the conversation is getting good. It's getting well seated. So thank you so much for the time. Have a good
Thank
Uh,
evening.
you.
yeah, let me step in real quick. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's a great topic. Is thank you, Fee, thank you, Anna, and Drew and Peterson. For me, I found other alternative, which might not be direct alternative. Remember, I told you about my son when I said, "Oh, I told him to take the garbage." After he said, "Why?" Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm training him. So what I did, open an account for him. You only 9. I put money into his account. I'm teaching him the way of life, like my daughter, those things because I'm preparing her. So by the time he reach 18, at least he will have something good, and he will know that dad. No, I show him how to, we open the account. He got, we got a debit card that we kind of like keep.
Yeah.
Me and myself go to the ATM. I tell him how to point pin number, how to think, and I'm teaching him those way of life, which I think could be. Now I'm not trying to dismiss that, like all those advanced plans. Yeah, they are great, but
You
we
are
still.
trying. You are trying to pacify him so no, you don't take the garbage.
Yeah, yes, yes. No, no. What I'm doing, Andrew, I'm preparing a man that he will not just be waiting for my death. That by the time, if God think, maybe he already know those attributes of lives. He already know.
Right.
Okay, I already got my account. What I need to do, get job and other thing. So I'm teaching him this, and even my other daughter, the one that in college, she kind of like same thing with her. They are more, one thing I like about my children, they're not listen. I mean, they're more like their mother. They strong, they can do things. So hopefully by the time if I'm not around, because look, death is a necessary end, it will come. I don't care what we say about it. So when I'm not around, yeah, they will miss that. But then at that time they will be prepared, some life experiences, some things that even if maybe I didn't leave anything behind, anything, at least they will be able to, whatever they have will be able to, or whatever lesson I taught them will be able to prepare them for the future. But
Absolutely.
yeah, this topic is great. You can't. I mean, it is important. They deaf things, so at least they can know. Because remember, these children, they are American fee. So one thing is, they're not gonna think like me. They would
Yeah.
think like, yeah, because why? They will have to pull that plug. They're not gonna think in terms of, yeah, seriously, because they will say that, why should our dad be suffering like this? Why
Suffering.
should our dad be going through this? So I know that because it is part of the system that they grew in. They will already got these advanced people. They already know what to do. So these are all important. So tonight at least I got this thing. But sometimes in the future I will ask them, if they ever heard about it. These things, I mean, they're still kind of young, but sometimes it's
Yeah, they're too young for it yet.
too young for it, so they don't can ask me that what's going on. But
But it's good to talk to them about it to see if they know. And then
yeah,
if they don't know, you teach them it.
yeah, so they can have. So yeah, thank you very much for this show.
I like that. I like that account thing. I like that. That's great because you're teaching how to manage money, how not
Yep.
to splurge. Like when you have money there, this is what you spend, this is what you don't spend. I think a lot of people should do that with their teenagers,
Yeah.
honestly.
And the guy who don't want to spend, who won't go to the, who don't want to spend money, won't go to the gas station.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for the topic, man. Yeah, thank you
Thank
very much.
you. Thank you so much, Mrs.
Okay.
Pro.
Okay,
Hey, Anna.
I will still be
All
watching.
right. Anna, what's your closing?
I really enjoyed today's topic. I learned a whole
Thank you.
lot. I think that what I gathered from everyone is that it's a difficult topic to discuss, but it's a necessary topic to discuss, especially at the beginning, even before you get sick.
Yeah,
Wait, hold on, please. I'm on the phone. um, Not only should you discuss it with your spouse, but also make sure that your family members are included in case you have a spouse who's not trustworthy.
right,
Having someone else there and making sure that it's a legally bind document. Someone maybe including a lawyer that can be there as a witness. And then making, if you're able to, you can get your kids involved in it so that they're aware about the afterlife, what will happen to them, a plan, in the case that you're not there. So I think that's very important. And then just making sure, you try to build a life that your family, your kids and your wife or your husband will not suffer after you're gone, and
right,
not putting a toll on them as far as making decisions that will accommodate your family and not be a stressor to them instead.
right.
So I think I learned a lot. So thank you for that. Your good topics. I always enjoy listening to the topics because they're very unique and things that are topics that are normally not heard of. And you always try your best to bring them. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you too. I learned a lot from you too. Andrew.
Okay, it was a great topic. It was a great one today. Like the participation of everyone on the show. I wish we could, uh, people could be joining also you just expand our discussion. But it was a great show. Everyone spars it up, with fun. Though that topic is emotional. Nobody want to do that, but it is very good that you plan your family, your inner life with your spouse, from day one. I'm talking about once you guys are both married, you're planning immediately, so you guys can evolve unnecessary, conditions from tomorrow because you can never tell what will happen tomorrow. Death is inevitable. Everybody will face death, and it will come. We're not doing it because of death. We're just saying it just in case these things happen. What going to happen? So it was a great show. Thank you so much, and I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to
Thank
another
you.
beautiful show on next week or the weekend. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, River Says Pro. Thank you, Peterson. It was a really, really great conversation. I actually thought it was going to be a kind of, everybody was going to be moody, but it was a very interactive. discussion tonight. Just want to put a disclaimer out there. I am not an attorney. I am not a medical person that will give you all this event directive about, life and death and all that. I'm sharing basically what I've read and what I understand about the topic. So just want to put that out there. But, overall, I know it's a scary thing and nobody ever want to talk about it. But um, I want people to just understand that the advanced care plan is you should do it before you even fall sick because when you're sick, it takes a toll on not just you, but the entire family member. Because one, there's a whole lot of things missing. And when you have a plan and everybody know, it's kind of like, when you get into your car where the keys is going. You know where you're putting the gas. Imagine if you didn't know where the keys go, where your foot went, and all of that. So that's how I kind of try to look at the wishes for end of life. Because if you're sick, do you want to be in a cold hospital, your family just come and see you and leave? Or do you want to be in the comfort of your bed where you have a family member around where you still feel their presence? And to me, and in my understanding of that, you can still feel like you're going to recover. So all of these is part of that events care plan. So I just want to say thank you guys so much. I don't want people to be scared, but these things, like everybody said, death is something that it will come. We don't know our day. When it comes, I know people are like, oh, so soon. But how do you know that's the amount of time that person was given to live? You don't know that. That's why every day you live, you should take advantage of every opportunity you have. Stay close to your family. Be communicative, talk about those things that are uncomfortable because when it does happen, when you're not here and you're laying there, somebody has to make a decision. It may not be your family, it might end up being a medical doctor, but look how easy it is when somebody can pull that paperwork out and say, no, my mom or my dad or my sister didn't want to be treated this way. This is how they want to be treated. So you get what you want. That's why I wanted us to talk about this. But in closing, you should talk about your wishes early on so nobody's confused before. We live in America. They will say, where is the wife? And then when the wife comes, the wife has more power than people think than their extended family does. So you want to make sure that person that you sleep in the house with every day knows what you want and other family member as well. So when he or she's trying to play file, somebody's there to say, no, that's not what he discussed. This is what we discussed the last time. So thank you so much for this topic. Thank you guys for all those people who participated and those who are going to come across it. Please don't be scared. Let's talk about these things that are uncomfortable and makes living a little bit easier. And when we're departing, even easier. All right. Thank you so much and have a great week. Hopefully we can be back here again. We pray to be here again to discuss another topic that will shake us. All right. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, River Says Pro. Thank you, Peterson. Thank you, Andrew. You guys have a great week. I'll see you guys
Thank
and talk
you.
to you
Bye
soon.
bye.
All right. Bye bye.